Today, we're gonna drink some bourbon that went around the world, literally. What's going on? This is Dublin. Come eat and drink with me. Today, like I said, we're doing some bourbon. And yes, it literally went around the world. I've been known to enjoy a nice glass of bourbon here and there. But the problem is finding one that's actually reasonably priced. And what is reasonably priced bourbon you say these days? It seems like anything under $100, which is pretty ludicrous. I used to buy bottles like Pappy Van Winkle back in the day, like let's say 2008. Yeah, that's a little while ago, but not that long. And I used to get 15-year for $90. Every Thanksgiving, my wine shop would call me, Dublin, we got your 15-year in. Yeah, right on. I'd be excited knowing that I'm gonna drink that all through the holidays, enjoy that special treat. And then a couple years later, now it's 150, and then it's 200, then 3, 4, 5, and then it's up to like $1,000 out of like nowhere. $2,000 for Pappy Van Winkle. Are you kidding me? We're not talking 30-year Macallan or something here. Some rare, super rare, incredibly good Scotch or Japanese whiskey. We're talking like a $90 bourbon that was really good. I really love Pappy. Had some really nice citrus, kind of beautiful notes, really soft on the palate. Some really nice bourbon to drink. I'm not panning it. I'm just saying it's nowhere near worth the kind of money that it's fetching right now. So anyway, let's get back to here. We are trying to find quality for under $100. And what might caught my eye with this Jefferson, I had their reserve before, which was really nice. And I think that was like $80. These are like around 85, 90-ish. And what they do is they actually take these in the barrel around the world on freighters. And you ask, well, why would they do such a ridiculous thing? I mean, what a gimmick. Well, if you truly understand what aging in a barrel does, and this happens, when you're in Kentucky or anywhere else, that you're aging bourbon, is due to the humidity, temperature fluctuation, the wood actually breathes a little bit. It expands, contracts. And by doing that, you're extracting more flavor out of that oak. And so when you're traveling around the world, you're going through different climates, different humidities, different temperatures, everything. And even some of that sea air is going to expand and contract. You're going to get just different elements. It's going to extract different things. And why I chose two is one is ocean aged, and there's a specific latitude that it goes on. And then this one is tropics. And each kind of tour, they do a different direction, different route. I chose this one because it was Singapore. And I thought that was interesting because Singapore is blazing hot and extremely humid. Like, what is that gonna do to the barrel? This could be interesting. So I'll go through each one and kind of describe what their journey is, and then we'll do a little tasting and see how different they are and what kind of, you're basically looking at the same kind of recipe here, but I think it's pretty much in the same wood. They don't exactly describe, but when they don't say specific wood, that means that no, it's not in like a sherry oak cask, an Oloroso, or some port or whatever. This is probably just straight up good old-fashioned American oak, same kind of mash, and it just goes in a different tour and a different duration. Let's start with the Jefferson Tropics. Now, I'll go through the kind of the timeline and the dates because they have very specific for this one. The ocean age, they don't have the exact timelines, but a huge long description as to like what different ports and whatnot it goes into. Pretty cool, pretty interesting actually. We'll start with the Jefferson. It will go straight to Singapore and then sits in Singapore for quite a while. So July 2019, they have 9 containers containing 720 barrels of fully matured Kentucky bourbon. Now they ship that to Singapore via ocean courier for 18 months, all right? So the barrels are exposed to Singapore's unrelenting heat. Annual average is like 82 degrees and humidity is like 83, 84% humidity. That's pretty crazy. And it'll easily get into the 90s at times too, and into like 100. So it's pretty bad. Like Singapore can be uncomfortable. They do not go to climate controlled facilities, so if you're wondering about that, it's just exposed to the elements, which is kind of interesting. So in December 2021, the containers shipped back to the US via ocean courier. and they go through the Panama Canal and up into Savannah, Georgia. So the tropics arrives to Kentucky in March 2023. The master blender, brand founder Trey Zoller determines optimal taste, landing at, I think this was like 104 proof. Yeah. And there it is. So that's a pretty interesting little tour. You're going from Savannah, Georgia, down through the Panama Canal, goes to Singapore, sits for a long while, and then all the way back around the globe, up to Savannah and then back into Kentucky. So that's pretty rad. Now, the Jefferson Ocean Age. Yeah. So it also starts in Savannah, Georgia. It also kind of give you a description of like the sea conditions and whatnot. Kind of interesting, I like the detail. Sea conditions encountered hot and heavy air along with slight seas on the way to the Panama Canal. All right, so maybe, a little bit of the rocking and the waves, the whiskey maybe sloshes in the barrel a little bit. I don't think there's like too much room in there, but there's gotta be a little bit. Agitation does something, doesn't do nothing. All right, Panama Canal. Enter the Panama Canal where the humidity and temperatures remain hot and sticky. Yeah, that sounds like the tropics. Calm seas. Enjoy calm seas to the Pacific Ocean en route to Tahiti. So they go through, ported in Papeete, Tahiti, and then from Tahiti, they go to Auckland, New Zealand, arrived in Auckland. From there, they go to Brisbane, Australia, Sydney, Australia, Melbourne, and then Fremantle, Australia. All these Australian places, I mean, you gotta love it. And then from there, they go from Australia to Singapore, arriving in Singapore after encountering warm weather in the 80s and flattened seas. So now there's less agitation. I guess we really won't know what that does or doesn't do, but it's interesting and worth noting. From Singapore, we go to Shanghai, and then we go to South Korea, and then to Yokohama, Japan. Wow, I mean, the lengths that this place is going to. This thing is far better traveled than I am, my gosh. Sea conditions, Pacific Rim, experience smooth sailing up and around the Pacific Rim with mild temperatures. All right, pretty cool. And then we go from the Pacific Rim to Tacoma, Washington, and then down to Long Beach, California. And then all the way back around the Panama Canal. It says sea conditions encountered hot and heavy air along with slight seas on the way to the Panama Canal. And then from Panama back to Savannah, Georgia. Wow. Okay, that is pretty crazy. I had no idea that it went that far. So that has to be, just think about how long a voyage is. You're on a freighter. Those things just kind of puddle along. We're not going fast. From Savannah, Panama, to Tahiti, down to New Zealand, all the way around Australia, and then up to like China, South Korea, Japan, and then over to Washington, and then Long Beach, and then back all, I mean, we're talking a couple years, right? So that's pretty insane. That's really interesting. I find it unique, but what kind of bourbon does it create? How different are these two going to be? I'm dying to try out. Let's see what's going on in these glasses. Let's go with the Ocean Age first. Now, clearly this did hit some hot weather in some tropics, so there could be some similarities here, but then it did go up into, China and Japan and whatnot. Who knows what time of year it is? It can definitely get cooler up there. We know that for sure. And Tacoma, Washington is definitely not, tropical weather whatsoever. And then down to Southern California, it's drier there. So here we are, expanding, contracting the wood. So, okay. Let's check out the nose. Oh, wow. That's really nice. I'm kind of getting like creme brulee, like kind of carameliness. And then there's like a nice kind of tobacco hint underneath. Oof. It's not too alcoholic. I'm not having a hard time. This one is 90 proof, so it is less than the Tropic. Oh yeah, that's like beautiful brown sugar, caramel coming through. There's like a really nice spice, which, what is the spice? That's right, if you're watching me, you know that's that oak. I would bet some serious money that is definitely American oak. You get that kind of cinnamon spiciness when it comes through on whiskey. A little bit of vanilla, some toasted oak maybe here. Absolutely. There's like almost like a little hint of kind of like the oiliness of like an espresso coming through. This is really nice, actually. I'm impressed. I feel like I'm getting my money's worth here. It's not falling flat on its face. It doesn't taste gimmicky in any way. It's actually pretty darn good. Yep, absolutely. Caramel, brown sugar, right into some of that cinnamon, vanilla, that oak, and then like on the finish, you're getting that kind of oily, nice espresso, little like lingering flavors. Very nice, complex, delicious. It's smooth. I like it. I think this is a solid QPR right now. Absolutely. All right, Jefferson Tropics. This bad boy sat in Singapore for a very long time in some hot, humid conditions. What is it bringing to the class compared to the sea-aged? You want to talk about spicy? That is spicy. There's a little more alcohol on it, the 104 proof, but it's not obnoxious. I'm not having a hard time. That is really a lot of spice in the nose. Wow, I can't believe that. It's almost like, there's definitely that cinnamon in there again, like baking spices. It's almost like a clove kind of action happening in that nose. I'm not getting as much as that like tobacco like I did in this one, the ocean aged. All right, let's try it out. Definitely a little hotter on the palate. Personally, I'd probably throw an ice cube or two in there, cut it a little bit, you know, to smooth out the edges. But definitely, palate-wise, flavor profile, it is different. It's almost like there is some toffee, which you're getting some of that toffee and that brown sugariness in there. This definitely has a little more of that kind of toffiness, a little bit of sea salt. There's almost like a cherry component coming through, which is kind of nice. Surprisingly, I thought I'd be getting way more oak. So I actually just kind of got that nice kind of leathery, earthy, like just whiskey-ish type of flavor coming through. Just like straight up bourbon. It's got some that toffiness. I think cutting it might get a few more flavors coming through. Maybe we'll try that out real quick and see what it does to that 104 proof. But overall, it's a solid whiskey. I think it is really good. My palate is kind of gravitating, at least like this, with the ocean aged. But let me cut this a little bit and see, you know, if I can get a little bit more out of that. We'll do it to each one of these. We'll throw an ice cube in there and see what we got. I mean, when you drink them side by side, totally different whiskeys. This is not at all like, seem like just like a kind of a replication of each other. Very unique. They share a few things, which a lot of bourbons pretty much do. Not unusual, but they're very unique and they have their own characteristics. And it's really kind of interesting trying this out as to like what heat and humidity can do to a barrel and what it does to a bourbon. All right, let's throw some ice in there and see what we get. All right, we got some ice in these. Let's get these this tropic one a little sip here. The nose is subdued just a touch, you know, because you're getting into some of that water, you're cooling it down a bit. Let's see what it does to the palate. Yeah, now that is definitely a little bit smoother. I'm definitely getting some of that toffee and cherry coming through a bit more. But overall, it's not changing the flavor profile a ton. But it's definitely a more pleasant experience, let's just say that. Let's see the ocean age with a little bit of ice, a little bit of some water to cut it just a touch. That's really good. Absolutely. Cutting it just that touch really brought it to like a very velvety, smooth texture. There's no alcohol in this one at all, like this one where it's coming through. We're not talking a massive amount of proof difference, but 90 and 104, that's a decent amount. So you definitely probably want to cut this one a bit more, tame it down so you're getting more of that flavor and less of that alcohol. But But yeah, this one is really good. Beautiful brown sugar coming through, that caramelness. Absolutely. So overall, I'm very pleased with these bottles. I think you're getting what you pay for. I don't think that it's a gimmick. I think that they are extracting some flavor out of these different conditions that they're sending these barrels through. And they're both unique and different, so clearly there is a difference. It is doing something, it's not doing nothing. That's basically impossible. Just like any environment, if you have a whiskey from California versus Kentucky, they're gonna be completely different because of the climate, the humidity, the temperatures, everything. Where you're sourcing the barley and the corn from, the wheat. So yeah, I think this is good QPR. I would definitely get out there and try one of these, if not both, and see which one you like the best. Right now, I'm probably gonna grade the Ocean Age just a touch more. I'll give that one, around like a 93 points. And I'm gonna give the Tropics a good solid 91 points with potential of, maybe getting better with a bit, maybe a bigger pour with a few more ice cubes. Give it a minute to kind of just mellow out and see what's going on in there. But yeah, both really nice whiskeys. I fully recommend it. Get out there, get yourself some Jefferson whiskey, enjoy yourself, not too much. We don't need sloppy drunks, but gosh darn it, you deserve it. Cheers. Definitely opening up. That's really nice. All right, 92 points.